Hi, ladies. I am so excited to be back on the Mujeron podcast, a new episode, and this one is going to be a very real one. So, si están listas to have a very real conversation about motherhood, about, well, not necessarily motherhood, but what leads to motherhood and just deciding if you want to have children, this is the episode for you. I truly want to use this platform to not only talk about entrepreneurship and building a brand and those type of things, but also to talk about the real conversations that are sometimes very difficult for us to have. And I know that a lot of you might be feeling like Thania and I in certain things that we're going to be speaking about today. So I really wanted to talk to Thania. So welcome, Thania. Thank you so much for being here
Hi,
with us
everyone.
today.
Hi, Mujeron family. So my name is Thania Betancourt Alcazar, and I am a graphic designer, photographer, and sometimes I sew. And I've decided to not have children, so I am child-free by choice. And thank you, Sonia, for having me on. And, I really want to show other women who have decided to not have children, whether it be by choice or through infertility, that there are people like them out there that they can talk to, and you don't have to feel alone in this.
Yes. So I actually came across one of your posts, and just a little background here. Tanya and I were actually classmates in high school. So we've known
Way
each other
back.
for a while now, and we've kind of followed our journeys. She's an amazing creative, and obviously I'll be putting all of her handles and all her information so that you guys can check her out. But I came across your post that said, it's okay if you don't have kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this truly just was something that I almost like took a big deep breath when I saw that, because like you and many other Latinas out there, we sometimes face this pressure of becoming mothers and having children at a very young age. And after you're married, okay, when are you going to have kids?
Right.
And I'm sure that once you have kids, ¿cuándo vas a tener el otro? You know what I mean? So it's always like this pressure of the next step.
Yeah.
And my situation is a little different to yours, but I really wanted to just speak on that quote. It's okay if you don't have kids.
Yeah.
Tell me about this post and just what really inspired it.
I think it was that I was feeling a lot of pressure from my family before I decided and actually came out to my mom and my dad and my suegros that we didn't want to have kids. It was always of when I was going to have kids, like it was always them telling me, like, when are you going to have kids? Instead of like asking me, do you want kids? I wish there was more responses where people were like, you know what, it's okay if you don't have kids. If you guys decide not to have kids, that's all right. If you choose that, that's okay with us. But it was always like, I had to have kids. When was it going to be? So I feel now, like, as I'm talking more about it and, the next generation comes along, I wish more people would be like, it's okay if you don't want kids. And if you do want kids, that's great too, either way. It just felt like you had to follow the status quo of like, you have to have these kids, in order to live a fulfilling life. But for me, it's okay for me not to have kids and still feel like I'm being fulfilled and living a life that I really love.
Yes. So when you and your husband decided this, was it something that you guys had been thinking about for a while? Is it something that, when people would ask about, when are you going to have kids, it kind of was something that you really didn't want to answer? Or is it something that you kind of hit a certain stage in your life where you kind of realize, like, hey, you know what, maybe this is not the route we want to take?
Yeah, I think oftentimes when people would ask us, we would joke and be like, oh, ¿cuándo los vas a cuidar? You know, when are you going to take care of them? Because honestly, like, people always say that, like, but they never, I don't know, there's a lot of responsibility, to kids. But when we were like envisioning our life, we do this a lot, like we do a lot of vision boards and stuff. Kids never came up. Like, it wasn't something we were like wanting to have. Like, I swear to you, like on our vision boards, it was like dogs. Like, we had, dogs that we wanted. But kids were always like on the back burner. It was like not something that was part of our dream. It was something that was kind of like an afterthought. And I was like, if we're thinking of kids being an afterthought, then it's something we really don't want. So for us, for me especially, I do things out of love. I don't like to do things out of fear. And I was getting a lot of FOMO of like, oh, what if I don't have kids? What if I regret it? What's going to happen down the line? And I was like, if those are the only reasons why I would want to have kids, also, fulfilling my parents' dream of being grandparents, I was thinking of other people. I was thinking of FOMO, other people. It wasn't really out of love. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I want to have this child and help it grow up and raise it. It was a lot of fear and FOMO, and it just wasn't good reasons for me to have kids. So that's why I'm a Virgo girl. So like, I wrote everything down. Like, I wrote like pros and cons of like being a parent and not being a parent. And I had a lot of pros in my child-free lifestyle than I had in my, being motherhood, to me, my personal opinion. I know for other women, they love being mothers. And I just didn't see myself fit that role.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to see them, right? And appreciate them. And I think that just a little disclaimer here, like, we're not trying to say which one is right or wrong. We're just here to kind of express our experiences and what we're feeling. In my opinion, like, the way that I see myself in the future is definitely as a mom. But I just want to stand for like women who don't want to necessarily fit into this timeline, right? My husband and I are about on 3 years of being married. And I think that slowly, like, we've seen more pressure, right? And I love the way you said, like, once you start seeing your plans, like, what is it that is really out there, right? What is it that you're really like putting out and that you're wanting to see in 3, 4, 5 years from now? And that's one of the things my husband and I kind of sat down one day and it was like an aha moment for me where I was like, well, we don't really live a lifestyle like we want to have children anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like, we decided to move downtown. We're definitely living like the city life, we kind of started seeing the priorities. And I think that it's important for other people to see that and kind of respect, you know what I mean? And not necessarily have to point out the timeline and bring it up. And I think it begins to restrict what we want. And it, like you said, you kind of start getting scared because, oh my God, what if I can't have children in 3 years?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've thought of that a lot, and we change our minds all the time too. And if somewhere down the line, I wake up someday and I'm like, I want children, there's always adoption, so. Or and
you
also
can be able to still have a baby.
Right. I mean,
like, we never know.
I mean, everyone, I'm pro-choice, obviously. So I feel like everyone has a choice to do what they want with their bodies. If they want to get IVF, if they're having trouble with children conceiving and everything, like, they can go ahead and do that. Like, I think there's like one misconception of like being child-free. People are like, oh, you're trying to convince people not to be parents. And I'm like, no, not at all. Like, I have friends who are parents, and I love being a tia. I call myself like the forever tia because I'm going to be tia to my friends' kids. And I love being around them. I love, being spoiling them and all that. But it's just like just to respect each other's choices. I think that's like the bottom line.
Definitely. I think that's what we're trying to share here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk to you about like the community of women who have chosen not to have children.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking a little bit about that off of our conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but what is something that you've struggled with when having to find people who you can connect with?
I find it hard to seek out women or see women who are Latina or women of color who decided to be child free. There's some here and there, but I guess like in my family there aren't really any child free women. So I had no examples of that. But as I'm like talking more about it, like especially on Instagram, I'm seeing more women of color or Latinas like hit me up and be like, I feel the same way. You know, I haven't came out as like child free, but I'm feeling those type of things. So that's why I'm saying like we need to amplify those voices, especially in our communities, to let people know that it's okay, because I had that fear of like being weird. I was like, am I weird for not wanting kids? Like all my, my family who is my age, they're having kids, or my friends who are having kids, and I felt kind of left out in a sense, and the friends who I do have now who are my age, they're going to have kids down the line, so for me, I like completely decided at the age of 27 that I don't want kids. So
wow.
Yeah, definitely. I sought out a lot of people or comments like on Reddit, but like I said, it was like more anonymous people. So I wasn't like putting a face to the people who were saying, that I'm child free or Latina or, things like that. So that's why I want to, like, I'm so glad that you asked me to be on here, because maybe people who follow you will feel the same way as well.
Yeah.
They don't feel as alone.
Even just this weekend, I went to visit my family out in California, and the older of us are like now being beat by the younger generations having children, and we're just like, oh my god,
right? Yeah.
They're like, when are you guys have kids? Like, you guys need to get to work. And like one of my cousins was just like, honestly, like I just think about it, and I don't know if I want to be a mom. But sometimes it's so scary for us to say that out loud in front of our parents or like our family in Mexico, that we're just we say it to ourselves, and it's just, we're here to kind of just give you the feeling that you can feel that way. It's okay to feel that way, even if, like you said, later down the road you change your mind. That's okay too. But just don't feel like you need to be pressured into doing something that maybe you're not ready for right now, or you just don't see it in your lifestyle.
Right.
How has your husband taken this? Like, how has his family been? I really want to know, like, even with you guys as a couple, how you guys were able to decide this.
The great thing about my husband, I love him so much. He told me, he's like, you know what? Whatever you decide, I am on board with. If you want to have children, I'm on board with that. He was very impartial. Like he was kind of on the fence of having kids too. But once we decided, he was like, I'm going to support you fully, because I mean, it is a lot for women. Like for a woman, you go through the whole pregnancy, you carry a lot of the load of being the mother. So for him to be like, hey, like, I will let you decide, and I'm going to be 100% with you on this because I love you. And I was just like, that was like one of the most loving things he has ever said to me. Because it's our choice as women to decide if we want children or not. And, that was great. It made me feel really good, really good that I picked a partner like that.
And it really just shows you how it's truly about ourselves, right? And what we putting ourselves first, and like our opinions. I love how you said that sometimes you felt like when you did think about having children, it was more like for your parents to be grandparents, you know what I mean? And like,
Right.
and what has that been like with your parents? Has there been like really deep conversations? Have they tried to like convince you?
Yeah, I mean, so a little story. When I went to tell my parents like that I didn't want children, there was a long pause. Like I was like, okay, I need to tell you something. And then my mom was like, "Are you pregnant?" I was like, okay, well, actually it's the opposite. You know? I don't know, like, why. I don't know. My mom's always been that way where I like say I have something to tell you, and she always thinks like I'm gonna be pregnant. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I told her, I'm like, well, it's actually the opposite. We've decided not to have children, and they were just kind of like shocked at first, but also knew that I was going toward that way because I was joking. I would always joke around and be like, you know, I wasn't very excited about it, and I would joke around like, "Cuando los vas a cuidar?" or you know, just to hand it off to them. But for my dad was a little bit, his response was a little bit harsher where he was like, pues no tener hijos como no es vida. You know, for him, his opinion was that
Wow.
not have children is not a life. And I was like, well, for me, I feel satisfied in my life. You know, I'm very happy. And I feel like they've come around to it now. And, you know, I feel like it was hard for them though. Like I could feel it, like the energy, that it was really hard for them to see that I wasn't going. They
Yeah.
were going to be grandparents through me. I do have 2 other sisters. But again, like they could decide to have children, they could decide not to. So I mean, yeah, it was.
No, that's so powerful, or like just hard. You know what
Mhm.
he said, like it's not a life if you have no children. And that's
Right.
one of the things I wanted to talk to you about as well is many times when we see couples either struggling to conceive or they decided not to have children,
Mhm.
it's almost like people think they're sad.
Yeah.
And it's so annoying to think that people think you're sad because you haven't been able to have children, or you
Right.
you decided not to have children in your case. And I think that it's also time for us to kind of turn that around, and even like through your story kind of see like, no, there's people out there who, you know, are happy with this
Yeah.
decision. How have you felt with that? Do you think you've gotten like those comments, or you're going to be sad once you get old because you're not going to
Yeah.
have kids around? Like
Yeah.
how have you been able to handle that?
Yeah, definitely I get the comments of like, you're gonna be sad, or like, who's gonna take care of you?
That's such a Hispanic comment.
Yeah, I know, who's gonna take care
I
of you?
love it.
The nursing home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pay money for. I don't know. I mean, that's like down the line. Like, what if I don't even make it that far? But for me, it's like I didn't feel like putting that upon, if I had children, like that wasn't their burden for me. Of course, like I want to take care of my parents when they get older, but you know, your child that you raise, maybe they won't even be the person that you wanted them to be. I wasn't feeling like I wanted to put that pressure on any children that I had. But yeah, definitely I've gotten those comments. And one time even a stranger told me, like, she was like, the next time I see you, I want to see you pregnant. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't even know you, lady. It was so weird. Like, she was kind of telling me the same thing, like, you're going to be sad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm really happy in my life. Like, I, you know, got my education. I am married to the person I love. I've traveled and done all the things that I love to do. And I have 2 dogs. And I love my life. I really do. Like, I don't feel like anything is missing from it. And I kind of had like an aha moment too. There was like one day that we had gone to the dog park and we were just chilling on the couch and just watching a movie with the dogs like cuddling with us. And I was like the aha moment was like, I have everything I need right now. Like,
Wow.
I don't feel like I need anything else, and I'm completely happy. So, I mean, I
Let's
found
take a deep
happiness.
breath to that.
Yeah, yeah. I like will remember that moment for the rest of my life. But yeah, I think that's the misconception that we're missing something.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
And I understand like our parents and just the Hispanic community in general,
Mhm.
our culture, because
Right.
we're very family oriented. You know what I mean? Latinos are just all about family and big
Mhm.
gatherings. And so it's understandable that they will kind of see this as strange. But I also feel like us modern Latinas are now, asking just to normalize either us waiting to have children or not having children at all. Is
Right.
there anything you would like to tell maybe someone that's also going that route and is struggling with, having to tell their family or having to explain how they feel to their friends? What are some words of encouragement that you would give her?
I would definitely tell her to, above all, put herself first.
Mm.
Listen to your heart, as cliche as it sounds, but you have to do what's best for you, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to live with that decision, like fully. Um, I will tell you to do the Virgo thing and do pros and cons, write it out, journal it out, whatever you need to do. But honestly, I feel like coming out and actually telling people that I didn't want to have kids took the pressure off of like them having to ask, because now they know straight away, like, I'm not having kids. And I don't get those comments anymore because they already know and they respect it. So definitely, like, really sit in your feelings, do what's best for you. Know that, there's people out there who feel the same as you. And you gotta find your own happiness. You can't live your life for other people.
Yes, Tanya, thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We're excited to see your journey and just continue to see you stay in your truth. And I think that that's what we want to normalize, people deciding what they want to do in life,
Yeah,
regardless of what it is. So
yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your story.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me on. You're amazing. I love how
Thank
transparent you
you.
are. I mean, just sharing about, infertility and stuff, like, you're definitely giving women and people who are struggling with that, like, a voice. So definitely, thank you so
Thank
much. Thank
you.
you for being an
Thank you,
amiga
sister,
for, I
so
think, 10 years now. We've been friends for like,
Yes.
we
Oh
just
my
had,
God. It's been
we
a
would have
while.
had our high school reunion
Oh
this
my,
year.
oh my, we missed it. We missed it because of coronavirus. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But I'm so grateful to
Yeah.
just have you in our community and
Mhm.
to see your growth and your story and just continue sharing all of this because it truly is touching a lot of us.
Mhm.
Even that post just really resonated with me and I just really wanted to share it on here. So if you guys have anything that you want to share that maybe you're going through something like this as well, make sure you head on over to our Instagram and comment and just let us know if you like this episode because
Yes.
we definitely want to continue bringing real conversations. Thank
Mhm.
you, Tanya, again, and thank you to all the mujerones that joined us. We will see you next time.
Bye.